Hey guys, and welcome back to Trying to with Leah. If you are joining me for the first time, thank you for being here. On my channel, I talk about my own transformation and healing journey in the hopes that people can relate to it and maybe get some benefit from my perspective. I think one of the most important things that we can do as humans is to share our perspectives with each other and learn from one another. Each one of us processes things differently, and we all receive things differently. And we all have our own wounds that need healing, and our own habits that need breaking, and our own lessons to learn from life. We all have our own story, and that story influences how we see ourselves and how we see other people and how we see the world around us. And so that's kind of where today's topic comes into play, which is turning our pain into purpose. As part of my own story and my experience, I've shared how in my career, I basically had to work my way up just to decide to leave and start over. And that happened over and over again. And I got to a point where I was struggling with my weight and my health and my mental health. And I decided to leave one last time. I decided that this time I was going to focus on myself. I was going to build a life that allowed me to focus on my own self care and to build my own business and to follow my passions like writing and building this channel. And instead of just looking back at everything that I've been through as a collection of things that have happened to me, I decided to start looking at what I could actually learn from it. What could I take from my own journey that would benefit me in the future? And what could I share that might help somebody else get through something that they may be going through now? Because we only have one life here, unless you believe in reincarnation, which in that case, the truth still doesn't really change. There is a purpose to your existence here, at least in my opinion. And I think it's important for us to find out what that purpose is. Because I could spend my entire life clocking in and out every day at an unfulfilling job in an unfulfilling life, living mostly on autopilot. And I did that for years, actually. I convinced myself that by neglecting myself and taking care of everyone else, I was a good person. And don't get me wrong, I was a good person, At my core, I was caring and helpful and understanding and loving and patient and kind to everyone except for me. And there was my problem. I had learned to put myself last and to silence myself and just to believe that everyone else knew what was best and just not to question it and to believe that I wasn't good enough. I had bullied myself into becoming this anxiety ridden, self conscious person who only really found validation through other people, and honestly, I don't think I even fully understood how much I was doing that until I finally got some clarity. Because that's where the real power comes in, is when you have clarity. Once you can actually see what's happening, and once you kind of understand why you're doing what you're doing, then you have the power to change it. And that's what I've been doing over the past few years, piece by piece and choice by choice. I've had to literally look my fears and anxieties and insecurities and doubts in the face and say, okay, we're going to figure this out together. No matter what, we are going to figure this out and we're going to be okay. I have had to tear away every bit of my life that wasn't working for me and literally rebuild it with what does work for me. And it's a long and hard and overwhelming process. So if you're going through that too, or if you've been through it in the past, definitely share your perspective in the comments. It could help me, it could help somebody else. And I really think that that is the point. We should be sharing this kind of stuff with each other and processing all of these things together, because not only is it helpful for us to talk about these things, it's helpful for ourselves. We can also gain insight from other people, and it's helping build human connection in an increasingly isolated world. The internet is such an amazing thing because it can literally connect you with somebody across the globe who lives a completely different type of life than you do and has a completely different perspective than you do. It allows for human connection in a way that I don't think would be possible otherwise. And yet, we don't normally use it for that kind of thing. We normally just use it for entertainment and to fill our time. But some of the most creative minds in the entire world are out there on the internet right now. And maybe if a few of them actually connected with a common goal, we could come up with such better solutions for where our world is headed and how we could possibly bridge the gap from where we are now to where we could be. But if nobody connects and nobody opens up about their ideas and their perspectives without immediately tearing each other down, no progress is made, and no real purpose comes from all of that pain and all of that struggle. And I talk a lot about how responding differently is how you bridge the gap between who you are now and who you want to become. And I think part of that is looking at your own life and your own story and asking yourself honestly, what can I learn from this? And what perspective can I gain from what I've been through? And can I use that to help someone else? And that's a really hard thing to do, I think, especially the first few times. Because sometimes, in order to understand the lesson that you're going through, you have to feel some of that pain again and feel some of that trauma and that hurt. And that can be really uncomfortable. You have to be willing to look at it and not only that, but sit with that pain and that emotion for as long as it takes. Because once you start working through it, it starts becoming easier over time. In my life, I have experienced a lot of loss. And there were times when I genuinely thought that I would feel this deep, deep pain forever. Every time it resurfaced in my mind, I thought I was going to be completely overwhelmed by it all over again, over and over again. But now I still have access to that deep pain and that memory of it. And I can acknowledge how deeply it hurt and I can think about that loss. But the difference is now I can also gain an insight from it without being completely consumed by the emotions that are attached to it, and in my opinion, that is growth and progress and, learning to be able to look at what happened and to say, okay, this is how it affected me and this is how I'm going to let it affect me from here. I say that all the time. But what can I do with this, to improve myself now? And that's where your pain can start becoming your purpose. So, my biggest hope for myself and for this channel is that I'm able to show other people how to turn their pain into a purpose, because the things that you've been through have affected you for a reason. And it's up to you to find out what that reason might be. Maybe the reason is literally to defy what happened and to rise above it or to become better than those circumstances or better than the people that hurt you. Maybe it's to learn how to heal from it. Or maybe it's to teach someone else how you healed from it, And I think that's an important purpose too, if you ask me. Sometimes we don't get to choose what happens to us and it's completely out of our control and we just have to be along for the ride, but we do get to choose what we do with that. And that one choice can be a catalyst that changes everything. So when I first started this channel, I kind of had this inexplicable calling to do it. Like I knew it was just right for me. But I also knew it was going to be really, really, really hard. And it has been. There's been a lot of effort and a lot of time put into this and a lot of overcoming cringe moments and a lot of figuring out who I am and where this is going in real time, like right in front of you. And I've had to deal with my own self-consciousness and doubt and anxiety and shame right here on the internet. And I I think that that's part of what makes it so important and so relatable for other people, hopefully, is that I've just kind of figured it out as I've gone along. I've actually known since I was a really little kid that I wanted to help other people because it makes me happy. And this channel is really the best way that I know how, for myself at this point, is just showing you guys the journey, like all of the struggles and all of the setbacks and the wins and the losses and all of the cringe and awkward moments and insecurities and the confidence that I've had to literally build for myself along the way, and showing you guys that I'm still learning. I'm still learning not to care what other people think and to believe in myself and to show up for myself, even when it's really, really hard. And still learning to make healthier choices for myself, even when those choices are really hard too. And in the beginning, I had a few moments to myself where I thought, it's not too late just to delete the channel. Nobody's ever going to remember it. Nobody's going to even care in a little while. We could just delete it, But as fate would have it, on the day when those emotions were the strongest, I got a not so coincidental message from my Mimi. When my Mimi passed away, I was gifted most of her wardrobe to use as inventory for my eBay store. And there were a lot of things that we donated, and there were a lot of things that were sellable, but there were a few things that I kept because they were sentimental. And I had just found one of those shirts and I kept it. And she frequently wore it on Halloween. She loved Quacker Factory, but the shirt says, "Don't be a fraidy cat." And it was just kind of like the perfect message that came to me exactly when I needed it, kind of like that you were meant to do this, you're meant to make a difference in some way, shape, or form, even if it's small. And put on your big girl undies and go for it, And that's what I did. And I'm really glad that I did do that. Not only because it's amazing for me to literally look back at these videos and see this transformation and this growth over time, but these moments can actually help people, It's a way for me to be able to try to make an impact on the world, even if it's just in really small ways. And for me, that's a big enough purpose for my pain to keep doing it. And regardless of what happens in my life, this is always going to be a passion project for me. So if you follow this channel, you guys are going to see it all. You're going to see me evolve over time and grow, and learn new things and change, because I am constantly changing and I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to struggle to figure things out sometimes. Like I just learned how to put music on my shorts. And I also just learned that sometimes that music is too loud. So we're learning still. I am going to have so many days where I need to focus on practicing what I preach, and walking my own talk. And my biggest hope is that you guys are going to interact and share your perspectives and learn from each other too, because I want to learn from you guys. And I think that this is really important, So if it's important to you too, and you feel like learning from others is just as special as I do, then join the journey, make that commitment to yourself to start building a better life for yourself and a better version of you, one healthier choice at a time. And maybe you can turn your own pain into a purpose for you too, or find some purpose in it, So for this week's challenge, see if you can find purpose in your own story. Is there something that you've always had a feeling that you're meant to do? Is there some purpose that you can see in your own painful experiences? And is there a way that you can help someone with what you've learned? Just kind of be open to asking yourself deep questions and just work through whatever comes up for you. And hopefully you'll start getting some answers and insights. So I will see you guys next week. And as always, keep trying, because life always gets better when you try.